All right, so we're good to go. Now, since it's such only two of you so far, if you guys wouldn't mind just introducing yourselves, telling us where you're from, what you studied in undergrad, what you do now, and kind of why you're hoping to maybe continue your education. Olivia, do you mind starting us off?
No, not at all. Sure. I'm Olivia. I'm from Schwenksville here. I studied engineering technology here at Temple, and I just saw, we have all this free time right now and have the ability to make our world smaller with the computers and seminars like this. So I thought this was a cool opportunity to see other options out there right now. And the project management certification kind of caught my eye there.
Great, welcome.
Thank you.
Next up, Witten, if you don't mind unmuting yourself and introducing yourself.
So my path is a little unusual. I did a health and exercise physiology degree, finished in 2016, and for the past year and a half, I've been taking prerequisites for engineering, and right now I'm enrolled in a electrical and computer engineering bachelor's program, but I was, curious about what the path would be like to go into a master's program and, just get a jump start.
Okay, great. Welcome again. Glad you guys are here. So we're just going to give you a quick overview of.
Can I ask a quick follow-up
sure,
question,
go ahead.
Colleen of Witten? Witten, how far are you along in your electrical engineering BS, and are you doing that at Temple?
I'm not doing it at Temple.
We won't hold that against you.
Yeah, I'm about 60 credits in.
Okay.
Okay, welcome again. We're glad you guys were able to join us today. Again, so the staff members here and faculty here for the College of Engineering, it's myself and it's Dr. Edwards, and you'll be hearing from us throughout the session. Just a quick overview of Temple University. Since you're both from PA, you're probably aware of this, but just in case you're not, so we're part of the Commonwealth system of higher education in the state of Pennsylvania, and core to Temple's mission is offering a quality education at an affordable cost. And I can speak to that as a graduate of Temple for my master's. Were it not for a place like Temple University, I was not going to be able to go to graduate school. I needed a place that was going to offer me the flexibility to do it at night on a part-time basis because I worked full-time, and also I was paying for it myself, and that affordability was a big deal for me. So were it not for Temple, I was probably not going to be able to go to graduate school. So thankfully, a place like Temple existed, and it opened up a number of doors for me, which we hope it will open doors for you too. We're probably the largest university in Philadelphia. We have 17 colleges and schools within the university. And what that means for you as graduate students is mentoring and collaboration across a variety of disciplines. And Dr. Edwards will talk about this in a few slides, but a number of the degrees in engineering, technology, and management are very interdisciplinary with the business school, among some of the other departments at the College of Engineering. The university has over 300 degree programs that span undergraduate all the way up to professional studies. So we have a very diverse set of academic offerings that are available. Now, the College of Engineering, we were founded in 1969, so we recently celebrated our 50th anniversary, which is very exciting. We're one of the smaller colleges within Temple, so we have about 1,700 total students, which may seem like a lot. But when you compare us to a place like the business school or the College of Public Health, we're one of the smaller environments here, which is really great for you, especially as a graduate student. So you can see we have about 200 graduate students in some phase of their studies here. So it's a very small, tight-knit graduate student community here at the College of Engineering. We have about 70 faculty members within the college. And again, as I mentioned, because we're one of the smaller colleges within a big university, there's a very strong emphasis within the graduate community on teaching, mentoring, and student leadership. So as a student, or excuse me, as an individual that's looking to advance in their careers, this is a really great opportunity and a really great place for you all to be. So we have 5 academic departments within the college. So bioengineering, civil and environmental engineering, electrical and computer engineering, and mechanical engineering, which are sort of our more traditional departments. And then our newest department, which you're all here to learn about, is our Department of Engineering, Technology, and Management, which again, Dr. Edwards is the chair of. So these are all the graduate degree and certificate programs that the college offers. You can see we have all of your traditional master's and PhD degrees, and then our interdisciplinary degrees in both engineering, which is the newest master's degree program that we offer, and then engineering management. And then again, our certificate programs, which you see listed here, many of which are new, including advanced manufacturing and robotics, engineering project management, and new product development. So any one of those certificate programs, and Dr. Edwards will get into kind of the nitty gritty of that in a little bit, but any one of our certificate programs can be taken individually and then transferred into one of the degree programs. So for example, computer and system security can come into electrical engineering, engineering management obviously can come into engineering management. And some of the other certificate programs, you can kind of pick and choose and stack them on top of one another to combine into the master's in engineering program. So we really cater to engineering professionals that are looking to advance their degree and gain a more specialized skill set. So our master's programs are all 30 semester hours total to complete, with both full-time and part-time options available. Most of them are highly specialized, so students typically take about 2 to 4 core courses followed by elective and specialization courses. Now, our traditional master's degree programs offer 3 different degree options. I just want to give you a quick overview of this. I know you're interested in the other programs, but just in case, students can pursue a coursework only option, a project option in which you do 9 courses plus 3 credits of a project with a faculty member, or a thesis option, which is 8 courses plus 6 credits of a master's thesis. And that thesis option is really ideal for students who possibly see doctoral coursework in their future. The MS in Engineering Management and the MS in Engineering students complete what we call a capstone project, which Dr. Edwards will talk a little bit about in a little bit more detail shortly. Now, to apply to our programs, you just need to submit an application online at apply.temple.edu/engineering, and we will be waiving the fee for you today because you attended the open house, and I'll be sending out instructions on how to access that after the session. So you can see here on the right-hand side of the screen, all of the documents that we require to be considered for admission, and the GRE is optional for the Master's in Engineering Management and the MS in Engineering. But if you're at all considering any of the other programs, you can apply for a waiver on a case-by-case basis, but you'll need to submit again all official transcripts, letters of recommendation, a statement of goals, and your most recent resume or CV. Here are the application deadlines for all of our programs. Again, we admit for both the fall and the spring. For master's applicants, for the fall, we have a June 1st application deadline, although we can be flexible with that on a case-by-case basis. And for spring consideration, we have a December 1st deadline. Once we receive your completed application, you can typically expect to receive a decision on your application in about 2 weeks or so, sometimes even a little bit less. And if you're at all considering PhD study, the deadlines listed there, just for an FYI. In terms of tuition and financial aid for this academic year, these are this year's tuition figures. We don't yet have the ones for next year, although we don't anticipate any significant increases. But for if you're, both of you are Pennsylvania residents, so that's an important number to keep in mind. So tuition for this academic year is about $1,135 per credit hour, and each class is typically 3 credits. So the approximate cost per class is about $3,400. All of our MS students, we have a limited amount of merit-based scholarships available, but most of our students make use of need-based federal aid, or if their employer offers any type of tuition assistance, that's another way that they help to finance their education here. So if your employer is offering any type of tuition reimbursement or remission, that's something to take advantage of, and possibly approach your employer's HR department about that. And in terms of why you're here today and why consider graduate school, there's a number of great opportunities that become available as a result of going to graduate school. For one, it is going to position you for whatever that next career step is going to be, and it is going to position you for leadership roles. In addition, by getting another degree, you're opening yourself up to all these new professionals that are going to be your classmates and colleagues, but also, last but certainly not least, is the increased earnings potential that comes along with that. So the average salaries that you see right here are average salaries for bachelor's, master's, and doctoral prepared engineering students from 29, what year is this, 2020? From 2021, excuse me, from 2020. I got my years all off here because of COVID. So you can see there's quite a significant jump for engineers that earn a master's degree as opposed to just sticking with the bachelor's. And again, as you get more mature in your career and you advance in other organizations, that number is only going to go up. So you can see a investment in your continuing education in engineering is never going to be a bad thing. You're certainly going to be seeing a return on that investment. So at this point, I'm going to turn it over to Dr. Edwards, who's going to talk a little bit more detail about our master's and certificate programs within engineering, technology, and management.
Thank you, Colleen. So again, now it's good afternoon. It was good morning before when you guys signed on. So good afternoon. So this is my intro slide to this topic, and what this chart signifies is there's a under-recognized potential for leadership in an engineering career. Engineering degrees at the undergraduate level represent about 4% of all the undergraduate degrees that will be awarded in the US this year, and any year actually. Between 4 and 5% are in engineering. And you guys know why. It's hard. Yet 33%, a third of the CEOs of the S&P 500 companies have engineering degrees as opposed to MBAs. So there's this leverage of leadership from engineering to leadership, and no one really understands exactly what this is or what happens here, how this works. The dean of the Harvard Business School speculates it's because as engineers we learn immediately in our professional careers that things have to work, right? The bridge can't fall down. You know, you've got to you got to build things to be sustainable. And not only that, you have to build them cost effectively, or you don't get a chance to build the bridge unless you're very, very competitive in your proposal. So his speculation is that these lessons we learn about cost effectiveness and that things have to work, that we take that with us as we grow into leadership positions and we build departments and companies that work and are cost effective. But speculation, no one really knows why this is, but it is a phenomenon. Next chart, Colleen. Or I don't have control of the charts, do I?
No, it's my screen share. So whenever you're ready to go to the next slide.
Okay, great. Okay. So what the engineering management certificate and degree is about, it's about launching this transition from engineer to leader. And anybody that listens to me for more than 15 minutes gets tired of me saying the best combination of theory and practical application, right? What I strive for is a theoretically valid system of practical action. You know, what we teach and what we encourage you guys to practice has to be based in the best available theory, but if it's not made practical, it's not useful to you guys. So the faculty is a mix of highly respected scholars, theoreticians, and accomplished professionals in the leadership world. It's collaborative with the Fox School of Business. There's at least 6 credits that are required to be taken from the Fox program in entrepreneurship and innovation. There's some electives you can take more, that you can choose to take more from the Fox School, but that's up to your individual aspirations. We have on campus, online, hybrid. Even we were doing this even before COVID forced everybody to do it. And then during the COVID quarantine, we just got better at it. As I said before, MS and certificate, and Colleen had said that if you do take the 9 credit certificate, it applies completely to the MS program. Go ahead, Colleen. So this is meant to give a graphical representation of what it is we try to teach. At the very bottom of it, you see the little cartoon with the red guy, stepping out from all of the white folks. What that is the fundamentals of what you have to learn. Everything is based on leadership. And there's 2 courses where we give leadership. One is the fundamentals of leadership for technologists, which is the gateway course. It's the course I teach personally. I teach every section of it. I try as hard as possible to get every student to take that as their first course in the program, so I can get to know you, I can get to know your career aspirations, I can provide better advice having to do with electives and whatnot as you go through this. And this is really kind of the nuts and bolts of leadership, right? This is about when you step out in front of that crowd and say, follow me, I know the way. That can be a scary moment. And you've got to know things about, how to craft a a vision, what separates an effective vision for your team or organization or product from one that's merely an hallucination. How do you set goals for people? How do you delegate? How do you hold people accountable? This is all the real nuts and bolts, blocking and tackling of leadership. And then the second course that has to do with leadership is the executive skills. And I define executive skills as when you're responsible for profit and loss. When you're the profit and loss leader of a organization, now your decisions could sink the company. So that's a different set of skills. Now it's really important to understand vision. It's important to understand negotiation. There's just a different set of tools that you need to be able to use at the executive level than at the fundamental level. And once you build that, once you've got those fundamentals in place, then the charts, the graphics right above it, the efficiency dial and the light bulb, there's two battles you have to fight and win. You know, the battle for efficiency and the battle for innovation. So the battle for efficiency, the most powerful tool you have is Six Sigma and lean techniques. We have a course in that. The course is taught by a world-class scholar in Six Sigma. He travels all over the world during the summer, giving seminars and training companies in these techniques. He's a Fox professor. He teaches the course for us. And then in terms of innovation, there's two courses. One is new product development. And this course in new product development is not about how to develop one product, as important as that is. It's about how do you put together a department, a company that is going to be effective at developing a pipeline of innovations. You know, how do you take knowledge that's outside of your organization, bring it in, integrate it with what you know, so that you can innovate new things, and patent protection and how to do design reviews. I mean, there's the plethora of things that you have to do well so that your organization can generate a constant stream of innovations is extensive. And this course walks us through doesn't walk you through it. It helps you build your model of how this works. So that's the first course. And the second course is design thinking. So design thinking in a nutshell is, you guys are both engineers, are studying engineering. Engineers are really good at solving problems. Finding the right problem to solve is just as important and perhaps more difficult than solving the problem. And that's what design thinking is. It's how do you get inspired to come up with new ideas? How do you ideate new ideas? And then how do you, test and pivot those ideas? So that's the two, and this course is taught by a woman who runs her own design thinking business, consulting studio. She's really good at this. I'm glad to have her on as part of the team. So that's the war for innovation, the battle for innovation, and the battle for efficiency. Over on the right-hand side, right, you'll see that that there's two things there. One is entrepreneurship. And as I said before, 6 credits from the Fox School from their program in entrepreneurship. Even if you have no interest in starting your own company, if what you're interested in is innovation inside a company, there's things from the startup world that will be useful to you. And then you also see up here the intersection of marketing and technology. Marketing, as it's important to us, is a very difficult skill to find. Right. Most marketing scholars are interested in business to consumer goods, selling mutual funds, automobiles, potato chips. That's what they study. There's lots of data. It's a psychological buy. It's very different than selling a technologically intensive product to a technological customer who's evaluating the customer, who's evaluating it as a business buyer, as how it's going to add value to their business. That's different, and there's not many scholars that study this. And we're very fortunate here at Temple University to have Tony DiBenedetto over in the Fox School, who is one of the few. Actually, he's the only one I've ever found, and I've looked for these folks for various engineering management programs for a long time. And he teaches a course. He's built and taught a course for us in this marketing of technological products. On the other side of the pyramid there, you've got, the Gantt chart, project management. almost everything engineers do lives and dies on project management. If you're in aerospace or construction, then your product is going to be project managed, your product for your customer. Even if you're in more of a manufacturing company, your capital investments, capital improvements, putting in a new production line, putting up a new plant, these are all going to be dependent upon project management techniques to get them done on budget and on time. And above that is finance. You know, finance is the language that's spoken at the table where the big boys and girls sit, right? The leaders of the organization. You know, we want to sit at that table. We have to speak that language. It's a different language. 2 courses in that. One's about capital budgeting, which is, you know, goes hand in hand with the project management. Do we do one project? Do we not do a project? What's the value of doing this project to our company? How can we calculate that value? How can we argue for which ones should be done and they shouldn't be done? There's a new course in finance, an elective is being added. Eventually this will be required, but right now it's an elective. It's being built around, it's actually being built by a finance guy who has spent his career building and running manufacturing companies. So this is about, and as well as private equity funds as well. So not just manufacturing, but this course is about how as engineers, can you be a smart consumer of accounting information? You guys are not going to become accountants. If you want to do that, go back to, you know, go back to the beginning and start over again in your undergraduate degree. But as engineering leaders, we have to understand what the accountants are telling us and understand what it means to operational decisions, to business decisions, and then understand what questions to ask. And so that we can make that. And then finally, the capstone. The capstone course has evolved over the years, and what it has become now is a series of workshops about how do you really do this stuff. This is going to be connecting the theory that you've learned through the rest of the program to that question of, okay, how do I do it? I'm going to introduce you in the fundamentals course to some really compelling research that shows that losing your temper as a leader is a really bad idea for a number of reasons. I'm not going to go into all of the details, but it's a bad idea. Great. How do you do that? How do you not lose your temper when your boss is pounding on you because he or she hasn't taken my course and they don't know that losing their temper is a bad thing, but you know that you're in a tough spot. You've got to get optimum performance out of your team. And the way to get optimal performance out of your team is psychological safety. You need to protect them from this pressure, yet you're personally feeling the pressure. How do you actually do that? And there's a series of workshops. How do you be influential? I'm going to also introduce you to some really great research on that about transformational leadership. And one of the recommendations is going to be to inspire people with high expectations. Great. You know, that's a good thing to do. How do you do that? How do you stand in front of the room and be inspirational? Go down to the picture at the very bottom, right? When you're that little red guy and you're stepping out in front of all of your peers and saying, I'm different, I'm the leader, I'm going to inspire us to accomplish something. How do you do that? You know, it's great to say do that, but what are the nuts and bolts of doing that? And that's what the capstone course is about. Colleen, you can hit the next slide. And I just stole my own thunder there, so we can go to the next slide. And this is just a list of all of the courses that I just went through on that graphic, so we can go to the next slide, Colleen. I prefer to talk to the graphics rather than read the bullet points. So the new degree, the Master of Engineering degree. So this is brand new. It's launching now. We'll be accepting students in the fall. And the idea behind a Master of Engineering is that it's specifically designed for practicing engineers who have earned their undergraduate degree. They're not on a research track. You know, they don't want to become a mechanical engineering researcher or a civil engineering researcher. They want to practice their profession in industry, but they need to augment their undergraduate skill set to be competent, to be successful, not competent, to be successful. And it may not fit into the neat bucket of mechanical engineering or electrical engineering, because industry doesn't necessarily fit into those nice, neat buckets. So it's meant to be flexible. It's meant to be customizable. It's based on stackable certificates. So there's certificates that have to do with specific skill areas, and you go pursue that certificate and you build that skill area. And if that's all you need is project management, I think Olivier had expressed an interest in that. If all you're interested in is that project management certificate, take that certificate. It's 9 credits. You've got it. You're done. You can go off. You've got more tools to be a successful project manager. That's terrific. You know, we've delivered value to you. That's one option. The other option you can do is say, you know what I really need to be able to do is also do some management stuff along with the project management. Then you can bolt onto that or stack onto it the certificate in engineering management. And maybe cybersecurity is one of your issues. And then so there's a certificate in cybersecurity or a certificate in robotics and manufacturing, or there's another one in, I can't remember what the other one is, and we're working on a few more as well. So if you constantly find yourself adding these new skill sets because it's what you need to be successful in your career, once you stack 3 of them together, then you do a 3-credit project, you know, under faculty supervision that ties your 3 certificates together in some way, shape, or form, and you earn the Master of Engineering degree. So you get that credential as well. Next slide, Colleen. So these are the certificates that we have so far, right? I said advanced manufacturing and robotics, engineering management. We talked about project management. Oh yeah, new product development. How could I forget that? New product development was one of the certificates. Stormwater management, and I don't want to put vaporware out there and talk about the ones that are being proposed, but there's also some additional ones being proposed that we hope to add in the fairly near future. And so that's the Masters of Engineering based on stackable certificates.
Great, thanks, Dr. Edwards. So finally, if you have questions after today's session, here is all of our contact info for just our general graduate account, my contact information, Dr. Edwards' contact information. And again, we'll be sending out the recording of this session after we've concluded today and once the recording is available. So at this point, we'd love to hear from you all to see what kind of questions that we can answer. And I'm going to go ahead and stop the screen share, or excuse me, stop the recording, and we can go ahead and take your questions.